How can I say Shivoham, I am Shiva, and Om Namah Shiva, I pray to Shiva? That does not make sense, isn't it? For interesting insights on temples, philosophy and literature, subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon for reminders. Hello and Namaste. Atmajnanam implies that this world is an illusion. We are living in a dream. So why bother with punyam and papam? Why worry about rebirth? If I am Brahman, the all-pervading consciousness which created this universe, then who is God? Why should I pray? How can I say Shivoham, I am Shiva, and Om Namah Shiva, I pray to Shiva? That does not make sense, isn't it? In the last video, we saw the famous dream analogy of Vedanta. While there can be no analogy more fitting than that, I want to upgrade to a more modern analogy in order to answer these questions. Let us assume we are living in a video game. The entire universe is a video game. Like all video games, it is governed by certain rules. In order to play this game, you have to become a character in the game. In video game parlance, such games are called role-playing games. I learned this from my children today. Once you assume that character, you are bound by the rules of the game. Everything you do has consequences within the virtual world. If you break a rule, you will be punished. As you progress in the game, you will have good and bad outcomes. There are unknown and powerful forces at play which are not in your control. You are a small and insignificant part of this vast and complex game world. But who are you really? You are not this virtual character in the game. You are outside this video game world. Nothing that happens in the video game can really affect you. But you are so engrossed in the game that you have completely identified with the virtual you and you have assumed that this video game world is real. That is samsara. In this scenario, there are two versions of you, as it were. Just think about it for a second. There is one version of you who is outside and playing the game, untouched and unaffected by what is happening inside the game. This version of you is called Brahman. It is this you all the Mahavakyams of Vedanta describe. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, refers to this you. There is a second version of you, which is the virtual you who is within the game, who is part of the video game world, who is deeply impacted by what happens in the virtual world. He is the one who accumulates punyam and papam based on his karma. When he accumulates a lot of punyam, he goes to a higher world that we call heaven. Just see how closely this resembles a video game. When he does a lot of papam, he goes to lower world, which we call hell. In this virtual world, there are other players going through a similar cycle. Also, there are more powerful entities which manage the working of this virtual world. We call these entities Devatas, like Surya Devata, Vayu Devata, etc. Above all of them are the most powerful entities, which we call Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, who oversee the workings of this virtual world. These beings pervade the entire virtual world. They are omniscient and omnipresent. However, they too belong to this virtual world. That is something we should remember. Within this virtual world, they exert absolute power. If you please them, they can lead you to wherever you want to go. They can lead you to prosperity in this world. They can lead you to higher planes like heaven. They can also lead you to liberation. It completely depends on what you ask of them. That is why our scriptures say surrender to God. That is why we say Om Namah Shivaya. However, the person outside the video game is unaffected by all this. He belongs to a different reality. He does not need the gods. He is Brahman. He can say, Shivoham, I am Shiva. The Hollywood movie Matrix is an interpretation of this Vedantic concept. I have done a series of posts on the parallels between Matrix and Vedanta. If you want a more in-depth understanding of this video game analogy, please watch it. So what is liberation? According to our scriptures, it is simply remembering who we really are. We have completely forgotten ourselves in this virtual reality world. We think we are the puny character inside the game. Vedanta is trying to shake us out of our stupor. It is reminding us who we really are. Krishna says in the second chapter, Yayenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tauna vijanito nayam hantina hanyate. Atma cannot kill, nor can it be killed. Even an act as horrible as killing cannot touch the Atma. When Krishna makes this statement, we should remember there are two versions of Atma. The virtual you within the video game will certainly face the consequences for his actions. The virtual you may receive capital punishment and die. But what happens to the real you who is playing the game? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Throughout the Gita, Krishna interchangeably uses the term Atma for two different versions of you. The one you who is playing the game and the you who is in the virtual world. That's the difficulty of learning the Gita without the help of a teacher. If you don't have this context from Vedanta, you won't know which Atma Krishna is referring to. The version of you within the video game or the version of you outside the game. Take this verse from the Gita. Nityas sarvagatas tanur achaloyam sanatanaha. Atma is eternal, all-pervading, changeless, immovable and unborn. Can you take a guess which Atma he is referring to here? The one outside playing the game or the one living inside the game? This verse cannot be referring to the virtual Atma within the game. That you is not all-pervading, nor eternal, nor unborn. This refers to the real you outside the game. Now take another verse from this chapter, a very famous and often quoted verse of the Gita. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnan anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just like a person changes old clothes and puts on new ones, the Atma discards the old body and acquires a new one. Which Atma is Krishna referring to here? He certainly is not referring to Brahman, the you outside the virtual world. He is referring to the Atma within the video game. It is this which acquires a character, dies and is born again in another form within the game. Neither your life nor your death is permanent within the game world. It is obvious that in this verse, Krishna is referring to the virtual you. With this as the context, let us answer the questions that we asked ourselves in the beginning. What is Punyam and Papam? They are the laws of Maya, this virtual world that we live in. As long as you identify with this body and this mind, which are just constructs of this illusionary world, you will be bound by these rules. I am this body, I am this mind, hence I am bound by the laws of karma. Who is God? He is another entity in the virtual world who has vast powers, who possesses omniscience and omnipresence, who can help you navigate this unpredictable virtual world. And that's why we should pray. That's why we say, Om Namah Shivaya, I prostrate to Shiva. When I wake up to my real nature, when I no longer identify with this virtual character in this illusionary world, then alone I claim, I am Shiva. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. That's it from me. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this post with like-minded people. Until next time, Namaste.